Hi, welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, hi, hello, my name is Rai, also known as Any New One, and I'm a horror artist. I recently hit 1,000 subs here on my channel, which I just want to say thank you so much for the love and support. I didn't think that I would get to 1,000 subs this soon, so thank you so much. I figured to commemorate this milestone, what better way to celebrate than to suffer? I've been itching to do another sketchbook challenge. If you've seen my previous videos, then you know that I did a sketchbook slam challenge where I tried to fill up a sketchbook in a month. And that was stressful enough, but I thought, why not up the ante? Try to fill up a sketchbook in a week. Bruh. So here is the sketchbook that I will be filling up. It's about 160-ish pages if you count the fronts and backs of each page. Yeah, and I will be giving myself a week. So I will start this sketchbook on a Saturday, and I will give myself until the next Saturday at the end of the day to fill this up. So this video will be a combination of a sketchbook tour, but also a glimpse into the madness that I endured as I did this. Anyway, thank you again for 1,000 subs, and let's get into it. Alright, so here's my sketchbook. Here she is in all of her glory. Something that I like to do with all of my sketchbooks before I start working in them is to decorate them. I think that it's just something fun to do to make them a little more unique and fun. I didn't cover the back though, but I did put one sticker, and I think it perfectly captures how I felt throughout this experience. And in general too, I think. Just get that dust off. But yeah, here she is. Like I said in the beginning, this book is about 164 pages. I think it would have been less, except I had counted a few extra pages that I think are technically like the inner covers. But anyway, I also like how the sketchbook is shaped. It's very unique, I think. It's more wide than usual. And here we go. I did make a little note on a post-it note on the inside to help me keep track of like when I started and when the deadline would be. I tried to do some math. Definitely did not keep up with that daily goal, but we'll get into that more later. So here is the first page. Like I said, I started on a Saturday. I started on November 25th. And as soon as I started this first page, I immediately started to regret this decision. But you know, I started, so I had to commit. This was also made with a fountain pen, which I don't normally use often. It had just been a while since I had used it, so I thought that I would give it another shot. But I didn't really use it much for the rest of the sketchbook. Here is what that pen looks like. Not sponsored, by the way, any of the products that I mentioned in this video. None of them are sponsoring me, but if any of them would like to, my DMs are open. So this is what the tip looks like. This is technically my first ever fountain pen, and I really like it. I really enjoy it. But for the sketchbook, I realized that because of the way that it works, I had to really like take my time with it, and I had to use like very slow strokes to get the ink out flowing correctly. After this page, I was like, no, I can't use this pen for the rest of this book because it would take forever. But yeah, teeth. I love drawing teeth. I always gravitate towards drawing teeth because they're fun. I don't know, they're just very easy for me to draw. So I figured I would break in the sketchbook with something that I can draw pretty effortlessly. And then we have more teeth. Also, the ink started bleeding, so that's another reason why I stopped using that pen. Also, I'm realizing that I might need to change the angle, so give me 1 second. Okay, I've zoomed out a bit so we can get both pages into frame. But from this point on, I started using a different pen. I started using one of my favorite pens, actually. A lot of people ask what pen I use, and I ended up using this pen for a majority of the sketchbook. I love it so much. It is a brush tip pen. It is double-ended. So on one end you can see is a bigger tip, and on the other end is a smaller tip. And that's exactly why I ended up choosing this pen as my main tool, just because of the versatility and the quality of the ink. This one did end up drying out, so I had to use another, and then I lost the second one, so I had to use a third. But anyway, I found them all, we're good. Moving on. So again, more teeth. I think I used a combination of the fountain pen and the brush tip, but after a while I did end up just moving completely into using the brush pen. Here are some animal teeth to kind of change it up. And I think this might be one of my favorite spreads from this entire book. I've always wanted to do like a skull study. In the beginning of this book, I thought that I wanted to make the sketchbook full of horror art, just because, like I said, I'm a horror artist. My goals for this book definitely changed throughout. Originally, I was like, should I challenge myself and try to make everything in this book creepy? But I ended up not doing that. But I think that it ended up being good for me, and I still had a lot of fun with it nonetheless. Again, more bone studies. Had a lot of fun with drawing the spine. More bones. Then I moved into horns. Drawing monsters is something else that I've always wanted to explore more of. So in this book, I definitely used it as an excuse to explore all of the things that I've always wanted to explore, which is why we kind of stray away from just making horror art. Since I make it all the time anyway, I realized that this ended up being like a break from that. Because even though I am a horror artist, I still do love drawing non-creepy things like these flowers. I love drawing them, sometimes paint them as well. I think these are magnolias, or these are at least. I draw them a lot in this book. And then I got into drawing shoes. I did end up using another brush pen for this, which is why it looks a little more rough. I used this pentel color brush, I believe. This part of it is full of ink, and then you just squeeze it, and then the ink pours out of it. I didn't use it as often or as much as I thought I would. Before the sketchbook challenge, a lot of my art did use that pen, but I did take a break from it. More shoes. More boots. Definitely got messy. Shoes are one of those things that I have a lot of fun with. Which is funny because I can't draw feet to save my life. And then we move into wings. We're kind of revisiting that monster territory that I was talking about earlier. More wings. And then here we're kind of still in the horror category. Eyeballs are another thing that I like to draw every now and then. And then fish. I really liked how this lettering turned out. This was again with the pentel brush pen. Felt like drawing a fish head. And then some fish bones. Okay, and then we get into fabric practice. I ended up doing a lot of fabric studies just because I find them to be really fun. With this particular one, I remember like really enjoying how it turned out, and I made a mental note to try to make more sketches with less lines or as little lines as possible, which you'll see I kind of do and kind of don't do. And then we got more fabric studies. This one kind of reminds me of Lies of P. I've been playing that for a bit. More fabric studies. Even more fabric studies. More. Yeah, there's a lot of fabric studies. They were also relatively quick for me to make, so that's why I kind of just leaned into them and churned them out. This one was fun. And then we're back to flowers. You'll see, like, I ping pong frequently between flowers and fabric studies just because they're the easiest for me to draw and the most enjoyable. And since we're dealing with quantity here, you know, I tried to draw as many of the things that I like as possible, as quickly as possible. More flowers. And then we're back to skulls. Some of these I also drew while live on either Twitch or TikTok, which, by the way, I might as well plug my Twitch and TikTok and other socials here. But every Wednesday night I do stream on Twitch. Sometimes we do games. Usually we do art streams, sometimes both. On TikTok, I usually stream art. Actually, I only stream art on TikTok. But yeah, if you ever want to see me work on art live, I usually go live on there. Wow, this is a lot of fabric practice. This is all from, like, I think most of these, like the last few pages that we've seen have been from the 27th. I think the 27th was one of the days that I really went ham. I also realized that it was sometimes a challenge for me to draw larger. So I tried to push myself to do that. And to also not be so precious with the pages. I guess we're moving into the 28th now. We're moving into weapons. And I am super excited about these. Weapons have been something that I've always wanted to explore more of and to draw more. And I realized that this was the perfect excuse to finally do that. Also, I wanted to say that all of the drawings here in the sketchbook, maybe not all, but let's say 90% of the drawings that I make here, I've looked at references that have been from Pinterest. So none of these, except for maybe the teeth, none of these have been straight from my imagination. So I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, anyway, all of these have had references, so I do not take credit for that at all. So these were the first few weapons that I drew. And then some lipstick knives. I guess they kind of look like regular lipsticks, but they're supposed to be knives. And then I found this photo of a heel with a knife in it, and then I ended up just drawing another shoe to fill this page up. This weapon, I struggled with finding the right placement of it, but eventually I got it to fit on the page. More weapons. Here I decided to incorporate color. In my last sketchbook slam challenge, I did use color a lot more and I explored it a lot more, but for this one I didn't really make color my priority because I knew that, you know, since I had such a time crunch, that I needed to focus on filling up the pages and less on the details of each sketch. But for this dagger, it had gems in it and I just needed to color them in. So that's why you see some color here. And then here I tried out a marker that ended up kind of bleeding into the next page, but more weapons. This one was very fun as well. Ended up spilling over to the next page. And for this one, I thought this was really fun and I really enjoyed drawing the wings. So I think the next few pages are probably going to be insect wings. Yep. So pretty. And then we start leaning towards drawing actual bugs, I believe. Here we have a cicada, I think. A lot of these things I try to label, but sometimes the references that I find don't always have the right labels or any labels at all. So if I do mislabel something, or if you happen to know whatever it is that I'm drawing, whether it's like a plant, flower, whatever, please feel free to leave the correct names in the comments below. I really appreciate it. And again, we're back to fabric. More fabric. Ruffles are really fun. More ruffles. More fabric. Drew collars this time. And then we're back to flowers. You'll start to notice too that the lines get more delicate and cleaner. I realized that the smaller nib for my brush pen was super nice, and I thought I would slow down a bit and again try to make a conscious effort to make less lines. And I had a lot of fun with that technique throughout, even though it kind of slowed me down. I enjoyed the process a lot more. And I feel like with a lot of my art, especially for the past few months, a lot of my line work and brush work has been so aggressive and more on the messy side. So it was nice to kind of slow down in the sketchbook and really focus on making more delicate and intricate lines. For this one, I kind of panicked. I drew big, but I wasn't really sure about how it would turn out. So again, we get messy and I fill in a lot of it with the bigger brush. But yeah, then we get into exploring more bugs. For this one, I remember using pencil just to give me like kind of a guideline for the curve. And then someone on TikTok Live was like, don't use pencil, don't use any more pencil. And I thought I would play along, and so after this I don't really use pencil. Honestly, I didn't really use pencil for the other pages either, but yeah. It's been a lot of fun, free drawing, freehanding. More flowers. Yeah, magnolias are definitely my go-to. And then we go back to weapons. Trying to draw weapons other than swords and daggers. And here is my first ever try at a gun. Actually, I'm not sure if that's true. I'm sure I've like drawn a gun before, but I don't really remember. So this was my first real try at it, I suppose. And this is also the 100th page. Then we have a scythe, and then we jump back to fabric. Yep. I think I just go to fabric when I want to fill more pages, and like I said, they're the easiest for me to whip up, I guess. Yep. More skirts. And then we go into bugs and some seafood. I really enjoyed making these little guys. And a goldfish. And then fabric. You can kind of see like how my brain works. And then we go back to this scythe. And then wings, insect wings. This might have been like another moment of panic for me. And then I decided to start drawing fruits. And you will see from this point on a lot more fruits. And since this was around like the 100 page mark, yeah, this is like the 116th page, I started feeling more comfortable with where I was for this, so I did take some time to add some color. More fruits. After adding color to the fruits, a part of me kind of felt like I should have colored in the leaves as well, but I didn't want to spend too much time with the color. And then we have fruits again, and then a random pepper. Doing this made me realize how much like a coloring book this felt. So who knows, maybe someday I'll revisit this and color everything in like a coloring book. Some pears and some peas. Then we're back to leaves, plants. I thought this was really fun. It's a ladybug in flight. More bugs. Another one that I thought was really cool. Towards the beginning of this, I definitely was panicking. But I think because of that panic, I blazed through so many pages that towards the end I ended up getting ahead a little bit. So like I had made a schedule for myself, which was like having a goal of 24 pages a day, but I obviously didn't stick to that. Oh, and we get into mushrooms. Realized that mushrooms are also really fun to draw, so there's going to be quite a few of those as well. For a lot of these last few pages, I did draw them live, so some of these might also have random viewer requests as well. More fruits. Back to flowers. I think these would be fun to color in. Then I saw acorns on my feed, so I figured why not? This dagger I was really proud of. I also just randomly found it on my Pinterest feed. Also, I meant to mention this earlier, but I have some time lapses of me drawing these on my socials, but I will also be posting more behind the scenes, more real-time process videos, and more time lapses of me drawing some of the pages in this book. They will be on my Patreon, so if you are interested in seeing more behind the scenes of me filling this book up, they will definitely be up on my Patreon. more mushrooms. Also, I couldn't find the names of these, so like I said, if you happen to know what these are called, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I would love to know their proper names. More mushrooms, and then more branches and fruits. Getting to the last stretch. More plants. Having fun with color again. By the way, I keep forgetting to mention this stuff, but for the coloring, I actually just used Crayola Super Tips. So if you're wondering what I used to color these in, yeah, that's what I used. And surprisingly, there's like barely any bleed. There's like no bleed really, but if you do multiple coats, it kind of comes through. But yeah, would highly recommend them. A big boy mushroom. And then for the final day, just drew more teeth because, like I said, it's just something that I can draw without a reference. Then I decided to draw some bags. For the last few pages, make things that were a little more, what's the word? More structured, I guess? Or objects with more straight lines and such. And then I randomly went back to produce. And then on my feed, I saw these isopods, I think, question mark. I love their shells. I love this pattern. Something else that I would love to explore more of in the future, like I said, is creating my own monsters, but also like mecha stuff. That might be another video of me exploring that. So again, more rigid lines, I guess. Drew a horseshoe crab and some claws reaching the end. I also tried a different brush pen for this. Didn't really like it. I don't know if it's just because my pen was dry or if that's just how they work and they're not meant for coloring, which I would understand. Saw some lollipops on my feed, so I decided to make my own. Drew some plastic bags. And for the very final page, I drew some takeout boxes. And yeah, that concludes our sketchbook tour. If you were to ask me if I would recommend this challenge to others, I probably wouldn't recommend it. I mean, I don't know, it depends. I was kind of in a weird like art slump before this challenge, and I thought I would use this challenge as an excuse to just draw without any real plan or intention, just to get myself to make something. But in hindsight, that probably isn't the best idea, because that could just lead to like really bad burnout. But thankfully I am okay, and I had a lot of fun with this. Like, genuinely had a lot of fun with this. So on one hand, if you want to challenge yourself and you want an excuse to buy another sketchbook or to fill in one of your old sketchbooks that you have laying around that you've never opened, then sure, go for it. I think that everyone should try a sketchbook slam challenge, whether it's fill it up in a month or in a week or whatever. I think that it can be fun, but it is a huge time investment, so keep that in mind. I would spend like several hours each day doing this, and again, like the pressure definitely caused some panic and anxiety. But if you stay consistent and if you really push yourself to you know, show up for yourself every day, and if you stay committed, it is totally doable. With that being said, I want to thank you again for everything. Thank you for 1,000 subs. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and leave me a comment below of what else you'd like to see from this channel. This is probably going to be my last video of the year, so I will see you in the new year. I really appreciate you all being here. Maraming salamat. Take care, everyone.